Shadow Board programme is 3 different sessions, each involving a different part of board agenda items.
One of the great things about the Shadow Board is it allows people to show their potential.
It's very important to have programmes like these, particularly aimed at colleagues that have got aspirations.
It kind of gets you to understand things in a different way and gets you to consider things from a different perspective.
Just because you are operating at a different level in the organisation, you've got a voice, you've got an opinion, and it matters. I was delighted when I arrived in the Trust in May to see that the Shadow Board was up and running. I felt for a long time that we need to prepare people for being part of a corporate team and part of corporate decision making, and having the Shadow Board showed me that we're interested in doing that and investing in the talent in the organisation. Boards set the tone of every organisation in the NHS. What Shadow Boards can do is they can help add a bit of extra ginger and spice to the conversation at the board about, are we really doing that? Because we've got a fresh perspective from people close to the front line who are telling you whether the decisions you're making are the right ones or not.
The Shadow Board programme, it's aimed at colleagues who aspire to or are getting ready for a position either on an executive team or a board. The 3 talk modules in the programme focus on 3 key areas of a board's work. Its function and role and the principles on which it works, its strategy and decision making, and its finance.
In practice, what happens is that the Shadow Board met first, had all of the papers that the board had, and that the deputy chair of the Trust Board chaired that meeting. That allowed her to bring actual issues that were discussed at the Shadow Board into the public board meetings and into the private conversations too.
The cohort that we were looking to invite and recruit needed to be a mix of roles, so we needed clinicians and non-clinicians in there, so that when the Shadow Board meetings took place, we had a really rich, robust dialogue.
We all know we need to do much more to have representative boards in the NHS. This programme can definitely be part of that. If you look at the composition of our Shadow Board, it looks different from the composition of the board. The people on the Shadow Board get a lot out of it, they get a lot of confidence in terms of their ability to operate corporately. That can only be good for the future.
I wanted to find out more about how a board worked, who it was accountable to, what sort of debates the board would have, the papers that the board would read and consider, some of the decision making, and to have, I suppose, some of the debates that the board would have as well, and to see whether there were different solutions to considerations that the board would have to make.
For me, I think it's just reminded me of some of the skills that I have. I'm a bit of a person that likes to look behind the scenes and investigate, and it gave me the opportunity to see it through that lens of, whilst you're investigating, you've still got to be providing services or providing safe services, and what the dilemmas that brings.
Yeah.
So your personal agenda potentially has to sit outside of how is this going to benefit the whole.
The thing that I really enjoyed about the Shadow Board process was seeing it in action. So going along to the meetings and seeing the energy around the room and the conversation that was going on, and actually the positivity of the people that were involved. Did you feel like you were pretending? Did you feel like you were role playing, or did it feel real?
It felt real. It was a really enjoyable course actually. I think all of us felt that it really broadened our understanding of how a board works. I think from afar you I've got an impression of how it works, but actually taking part in it and having those live conversations, I think it would be really beneficial, I think, for people coming on the course.
Did it bring you together as a team then? So board members have to act like a team, and they sort of cover for each other, they challenge each other. It can be quite tricky.
We had some robust conversations, shall we say. We tried to see it through the other person's eyes and see what it might say to us and what impression that would make and how that would help us to see it in a much broader context.
We'll definitely continue with the Shadow Board arrangement. I think it does 2 really important things. Firstly, it shows to the people involved that they can bring perspective, and that being part of something which affects the whole organisation is different. So it prepares them for that. The second thing it does, it gives a real, genuine, fresh perspective to the board on issues that they may have discussed before. So having that different view from a different group of people helps you to challenge your thinking a bit more than you would have done otherwise.
The benefits of running the programme and being part of the pilot to the organisation is that we have now expanded our talent pool, and we've got a number of colleagues in the Trust who are working in a very different way and adding to the effectiveness of our assurance processes and supporting the board. But more importantly, I think we've got individuals within that group who we've been able to offer an opportunity to that's seen them stretch and grow and get real tangible benefit from being part of that programme.
I guess the benefits of taking part were that having that realisation about what it was like. I knew that it would be a very demanding role, given the papers that the board have to consider before any board meeting. I think there was that real understanding that actually, yeah, this is quite a challenge. And I suppose reassuring as well that actually there's so much that is considered. It's not just a conversation.
I believe that everyone's got great potential. What we must do in our organisations is allow that potential to come out, and we need to look at all of the talent that exists in the organisation so that we can bring it out and apply it in the roles that are required for the future.
One of the great things about the Shadow Board is that even though it was a very short programme, we saw in a very short space of time some members of the group learning and applying that learning and developing their practice very, very quickly in front of our very eyes.
It's been a real eye-opener. It's been really enjoyable, really challenging. It also helps you realise that there's so many different ways of looking at things. So I would absolutely say to people, go for it.
If you want to have a greater connection between the organisation and the board, a shadow board's a great way of doing it. If you want to nurture talent for the future, a shadow board's a great way of doing it. And if you want to get extra input to your decision making and great insight, shadow board can help.